one of the things I want to talk to you about immediately is this whole Sue Gray business and whether your boss, Keir Starmer, is going to give her a job or not. And was she in talks with him while she was investigating Boris Johnson and Partygate? Do you know what? It's not a good look.
Good morning, guys. Well, look, all I'd say is, first of all, I've got a lot of confidence that everyone has done the right thing, the right process as part of this. There is an official process here. It's independent. Everything will be in the public domain. The schedule, the timeline for that is completely within the power of that committee. It deals with all civil service appointments to outside roles. And I think we just wait and see what they say. And I think that the attempt for the government to try and make this a story a couple of days before the local elections by making a statement on it today, if they think this is the big issue this country is talking about right now, I think they're sorely mistaken. So there's an official process here. We respect it.
Oh, it is a big issue
in the public domain, and we'll follow that process.
I mean, she's supposed to be, come on, Jonathan, she's supposed to be whiter than white, a paragon of virtue, untouchable, and there we hear that she knows she's investigating the Conservatives. If all of this has been proved to be true, and Keir Starmer saying, oi, I'll give you a job. Goodness me.
Well, we don't know that, though. We don't know that because we don't have the information that the committee that deals with these matters will put into the public domain. And I would just remind everyone, she wasn't the original person investigating these Partygate scandal allegations. It was somebody else. He unfortunately had to resign because he'd been at the parties he was supposed to be investigating.
That's irrelevant.
The point is that the best people to help us build a team for government. We'll follow the official process, whatever it might be to get those people.
That would be your excuse. That would be okay to be talking to her because we didn't know that she was going to be the original Partygate. But as soon as she did know she was going to investigate Partygate, she should have ruled herself out of absolutely everything.
We don't know that. We don't know the timeline. This will all be in the public domain when the Corba committee, it's called, does that and deals with it. But civil servants taking other jobs outside the civil service as they move on with their careers is not unusual. We've even had several high-profile government ministers in recent times who themselves were originally civil servants when that began. So there's nothing special or unusual about this. And any legitimate interest there is because of these Conservative scandals and her role as head of ethics having to investigate some of these things, that will be in the public domain. But I'm more than confident everyone has followed the proper process with this.
No, I tell you why I don't like this. I don't like this because she was painted as whiter than white on absolutely every level, untouchable, whatever. And now, whether it's right or wrong, it is wrong. It is wrong that a civil servant should then ally themselves to a certain political party because they're supposed to be impartial. But I just throw that out there, Jonathan. I know you have your say, I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying that, and I think it stinks, and it looks as if it's got a really bad look to it, and the general public, I think, will agree with me rather than you on it. But there we go. Move on, Isabel.
Well, no, I wanted to pick up on the same subject because you keep saying we don't know yet the timeline. Assuming that there was this conflict, he can't go ahead with the appointment to her to be Chief of Staff. Surely that's done now. There's no way she can be coming on board.
Well, I would ask you why you are assuming a set of events which you don't know whether are true or not. Why not follow the official process?
Well, it's being
suggested. Not fall for the government's spin to try and make people look over here rather than the big issues facing the country, the cost of living, the profits of energy companies when people are struggling so much with their own bills. This is clearly a few days before the local elections. So why don't we just let the independent process put all the information into the public domain?
But if I was Sue Gray, I would now hold a news conference and say, oi, this is bang out of order, this did not happen. So there must be a reason she's not saying that.
Well, the reason is you have to respect the process as it exists, laid out by the civil service and this government, that they confidentially review the procedure, put a recommendation in for how long you should wait between leaving the civil service and going into the new job. All of this is the standard procedure. There's nothing unusual about this. What you've got is the government playing around with that to try and distract people, quite frankly, from their...
Okay. No, we've got to move on.
Elections are asking themselves, are they better
all right, Jonathan, we're all...
And they're not. So they've got this little show over here, but I don't think people will fall for it.
Okay, so you're the conspiracy theorist in this, which may well be true. I'm not knocking that. I'm saying that may well be true. Jonathan, what you want to talk about is windfall taxes, and we're talking about energy companies, and I think you believe they're making more money, they're making it easier than ever before, and you think, hit them. Now, I think a lot of people will say, absolutely, he's spot on with that. We had our economics editor go to Aberdeen this week, and it's all very complicated, but he's saying that it's leading to a lack of investment or reinvestment from these energy companies, and the more you hit them, the more jobs it'll cost in the long run. What would your response to that be?
Okay, so I'd say the first thing is that the argument for a windfall tax was always that the huge profits that were being accrued came from Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine, and that was not a reasonable way to make that level of profit. I want British companies to make a profit. I want them to succeed. But where that comes from, in this case, the windfalls of war, I don't think that's legitimate. And the argument for a windfall tax was to take some of that profit that would come specifically from that and use it for the benefit of the economy overall. Now, when we call for a proper windfall tax, that's three things in specific plans. That's, first of all, starting that windfall tax from January 2022. It is not having the big allowances for further oil and gas investment, and it is taxing at the same rate as Norway, no more than that. Now, that raises £10 billion, £10.5 billion additional to the government's plans, and we'd use that, for instance, for freezing council tax this year because people are under so much pressure. Now, on the specific argument that it will deter investment, I mean, first of all, the boss of BP previously said it won't change their plans. Second of all, I'd say those investment plans would not have been predicated on the spike in prices that came from the invasion of Ukraine. But finally, I would say if you look at the statement today, I've had a quick look through it, it came out very early this morning, it's very clear that that additional level of profit is not going to go on investment, it's going to go on what are called share buybacks, essentially returning the value to shareholders rather than investment in new exploration or new capacity or new resources. So I think the argument as it stands is a very strong one, and I think the level of profit we've seen today has further validated that case.